This lesson will demonstrate the process of preparing financial statements from adjusted account balances. In Chapter 1, you were already introduced to the four primary financial statements. As discussed previously, we will only focus on the income statement, retained earnings statement, and balance sheet. The income statement reports total revenues, total expenses, and net income or net loss, depending on which is greater, revenue or expenses. Net income is calculated by subtracting total expenses from total revenue. The retained earnings statement reports the change, increase or decrease, in the retained earnings for the business. The balance sheet reports total assets, total liabilities, and total stockholders' equity. Basically, the balance sheet proves the accounting equation, which is total assets is equal to total liabilities plus stockholders' equity. The end-of-period spreadsheet that we reviewed previously can be actually used to create the financial statements for a company. Let's review the end-of-period spreadsheet and financial statements for Net Solutions to see how the financial information flows from the end-of-period spreadsheet to the financial statements. Please refer to the exhibit. The end-of-period spreadsheet for Net Solutions is in the lower left of the exhibit. The spreadsheet follows the same format we reviewed previously, with 2 columns for the unadjusted trial balance totals, 2 columns for the adjustments, and 2 columns for the adjusted trial balance totals. Financial statements are generated after the adjustments have been made. Therefore, if you're preparing the financial statements from the end-of-period worksheet, you must pull the totals from the adjusted trial balance columns. Remember, the accounts are listed in the end-of-period worksheet in a specific sequence. The sequence should always be assets listed first, liabilities second, stockholders' equity third, revenues fourth, and expenses listed last. The income statement must always be created first because the net income or net loss that is calculated on the income statement is reported on the retained earnings statement. When creating the income statement for Net Solutions, we need to transfer the ending balances from each revenue and each expense account to the income statement. Make sure each revenue account and its balance is listed, and then calculate total revenue. Expenses should be listed the same way. The final step is to calculate net income or net loss by subtracting total expenses from total revenue. The retained earnings statement must be created second because the ending balance that is calculated on the retained earnings statement is reported on the balance sheet. The only account balance that is listed on the retained earnings statement is dividends. When preparing the retained earnings statement for Net Solutions, we start with the retained earnings balance from the previous period. The next step is to pull the net income total from Net Solutions income statement and the dividend total from the end-of-period worksheet. Once you have these two totals, you subtract dividends from net income in order to calculate the increase in retained earnings. The final step is to add the increase in retained earnings to the starting balance for retained earnings that carried over from the previous period to calculate the ending balance for retained earnings. The balance sheet is prepared last because the ending balance for retained earnings must be carried over from the retained earnings statement. In preparing the Net Solutions balance sheet, we need to transfer the assets, liabilities, and owner's equity balances from the end-of-period worksheet to the balance sheet. Assets are reported first on the left side of the statement. There are 2 classifications of assets, current and plant, property, and equipment. Each classification has a subtotal, and then the subtotals are added together to calculate total assets. Liabilities and stockholders' equity are reported on the right side of the statement. Liabilities also have 2 classifications, short-term and long-term. However, Net Solutions only has short-term liabilities. Each liability account is listed separately and then added together to calculate total liabilities. Stockholders' equity is on the right side of the report, directly below liabilities. If you refer to Net Solutions balance sheet, common stock and retained earnings are reported in the equity section. The account balance for common stock is transferred over from the end-of-period worksheet. However, the retained earnings balance is pulled directly from the retained earnings statement. Common stock and retained earnings are added together to calculate total stockholders' equity. The final step in preparing the balance sheet is to add total liabilities and total stockholders' equity together. If everything is reported and calculated correctly, total assets listed on the left side of the report should be equal to total liabilities and stockholders' equity listed on the right side of the report. If you refer to net solution statement, total assets are equal to $29,495 and total liabilities and stockholders' equity are equal to $29,495. Therefore, the report's balance. This concludes this lesson.